Hola, en esta lección vamos a hablar un poco acerca del subjuntivo. So as you've been learning Spanish, you've hopefully figured out how AR verbs, ER verbs, and IR verbs end in the present tense, as well as other tenses. But that's not to say that at some point you haven't come across a form that ends with the wrong ending. That is, an AR verb might end with an E, and an ER or IR verb might end with an A. You weren't going crazy. This actually happens normally in Spanish every day, and it's called the subjunctive. And the subjunctive isn't really a tense, it's a mood. Let's look at an example. Take this farmer, or granjero. Now we have an ox, or buey, and in between them, una yunta. The farmer has his idea of what he wants the ox to do. He wants the ox to turn right. The ox, on the other hand, has his own idea. So, el granjero quiere doblar a la derecha. The farmer wants to turn to the right. El buey quiere dormir. The ox wants to sleep. But let's look at what happens when the farmer wants the ox to do something. El granjero quiere que el buey doble a la derecha. Weird. Look how when the farmer wants someone else to do something, the second action doesn't follow the normal rules of the present tense. Dobla would be he or she turns, but here it says doble, which is kind of like he or she might turn. This is called the subjunctive. What we might consider the normal form of the verb is called indicative, since it indicates reality. For us to understand the subjunctive, let's take a look at the word subjunctive. So in it we have two parts, sub and junct. Sub means under, and junct is something joined together, or even if you look at the word yunta, it's kind of like yoked or joined together, kind of like a yoke would join the farmer to the ox. It might help here to think of the farmer with the yoke. So here we have the farmer, the yoke, and the ox, that is the beast of burden. Let's think of how many characters here have their own will, or are able to do something on their own. The farmer has a will, and the ox has a will. Both have their own desire to act upon, or will. No matter how much the farmer might want the ox to do something, he can't really change the ox's will. But the yoke helps the farmer impose his will, or make the ox do whatever he wants him to do, even if the ox doesn't want to do it. If the farmer wants him to turn, the yoke helps him control the ox. We can't be certain if the ox really wants to go right, and so we express this uncertainty of another's will in the sentence with the subjunctive, that is, under the yoke. So again, the sentence we used before, el granjero quiere que el buey doble a la derecha. So we're saying the farmer wants that the ox might turn to the right. Or maybe the farmer wants the ox to stop. So we would say, el granjero quiere que el buey se detenga. Again, say that tiene would be the normal indicative form, he detains himself or he stops himself, but we're expressing that whether the farmer wants it to happen or not, it's not really indicative of reality since the ox has his own will. So we use the subjunctive. The general formula here for the subjunctive is, we have the first will, and here that's the farmer, then a que, which we show with the yoke, and then the second will, which is the ox in this case. Let's see a few more examples of subjunctive with multiple wills. To do this, let's look at a little story about a monkey searching for bananas. At this point in the story, he and the chicken are running from the lion who is trying to eat them. If you're not familiar with the story and you'd like to know more about it, click on the computer monitor to see the third story about the mono marrón. Now, keep in mind that there are multiple wills here, the lion, the monkey, and the chicken. El mono marrón quiere que el león no los coma. So we see we have the first will, el mono marrón quiere, and then the que is our yoke, and then el león no los coma, the lion might not eat them. Notice that come would be the normal form of he or she eats, and coma here will be the subjunctive. Also notice that in English we use a different construction. We'd say the brown monkey wants the lion not to eat them. So it's a little bit different. El león quiere que el mono y el pollo corran más despacio. Again, notice that we have the first will from the lion, and he wants that the monkey and the chicken might run slower. So corren would be the normal form of they run. Corran here is expressing whether the lion wants it or not. That's the subjunctive. El pollo quiere que el león se caiga. Our first will, the chicken, and then we have the second will, the lion. While se cae is he or she falls down normally, here we see the form se caiga, which is subjunctive. El elefante azul quiere que el mono marrón salte en la cama. The first will is the blue elephant, and he wants another will, the brown monkey, to jump on the bed. So we have salta is the normal form for he or she jumps, and here we're going to see salte is the present subjunctive for he or she might jump or he or she jumps. El mono marrón quiere que funcione el plan del elefante. The first will is the monkey, and he wants that the plan might function. So funciona would be it works or it functions, and here it'd be funcione because he wants that it might function, and he can't really control it. Of course, in some cases you'll notice that the first or second will might not really be a person or something you could even try to control, like we saw in this last example. Here are some other examples. No quiero que llueva. Es importante que vayamos al dentista de vez en cuando. Pilar y Mario esperan que el avión llegue a tiempo. So whether it rains or not, it's not really a will because it simply rains. Nobody's necessarily controlling it. It's just the weather. And then in the second one, saying that it's important is not really a will of any sort. It's just an observation about reality, possibly. And lastly, a plane doesn't have a will of its own, although it still is something you can't control, so we'll consider it a will grammatically here. Now, keep in mind this video is only an introduction. If you want to get more specific as to how the subjunctive is used in Spanish, we can use the acronym WEIRDOS to explain many of the uses of the subjunctive. And that's it for this video introduction on the subjunctive. I hope this video was helpful and gave you a general idea about using the subjunctive. Let me know if you have any questions or comments about this video below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for updates on new Spanish video lessons. If you want to see how we change verbs into the present subjunctive, click here to see the video. If you want more information on the present subjunctive in Spanish and the different usage of weirdos, feel free to click on any of the letters in weirdos. And finally, if you think you're already ready and want to take the test over the present subjunctive, click here. Gracias por mirar y nos vemos.